the number one exercise to lose belly fat easily. And this might sound a bit weird, but it's increasing your energy flux. It's what got me from 25% body fat down to a lean 10% body fat, where my belly fat was non-existent. So, you know those people that seem to eat so much food but never get fat? That phenomenon is explained by energy flux. So energy flux is kind of this relationship between the amount of calories you're intaking versus the amount of calories you're expending. So if you have a low energy flux, it means your calorie intake is low and your calorie expenditure is also low. Whereas if you have a high energy flux, it means the amount of calories you're eating is high, but so is the amount of energy you're expending. So there was this study done, and I'll link it in the description, where people were divided into three groups: those with a high energy flux, those with a moderate energy flux, and those with a low energy flux. And they tracked the body fat percentages of all three groups. What that study found was that total energy intake for the high energy flux group was greater than for all of the other groups. Yet this was the only group that lost body fat over time. So it sounds kind of counterintuitive, doesn't it? That when you're eating more food, you seem to be able to burn more fat. But the reason why I think that was the case, and let me give an example to demonstrate this. So let's say you're burning 3,000 calories every day and you're consuming 2,800. That puts you in a 200 calorie deficit and you'll likely lose weight. Compare that to the person that's burning 2,000 calories and is only able to eat 1,800 calories, which also puts them in a 200 calorie deficit. You can imagine that being able to just eat 2,800 calories compared to 1,800 calories is going to be a lot easier to do because you're not going to be starved like you would be if you restricted the amount of food you're eating to 1,800 calories every day. And this study aligns exactly with my own personal experience. I tried to cut by lowering my calorie intake and not really focusing on the calorie expenditure part of the equation. And for that period of time, I still had that belly fat in my lower stomach region. But when I started to introduce cardio and a more generally active lifestyle, that's when I saw my belly fat just completely be stripped away. And that was when I had a high energy flux. I was eating more food, but also burning so many more calories. I feel like the traditional advice that's given is that if you want to lose weight, then you should primarily focus on reducing the amount of calories you're eating rather than trying to focus on cardio or burning more calories. And I think that's true if you're quite overweight. It's probably the easiest thing you can do, but specifically with respect to belly fat, because belly fat is the last fat on your body that is lost whenever you're cutting. It means that by the time your belly fat actually will start to come off, i.e. the fat on your shoulders, on your back, on your face, on your legs has already been lost, and it's just the belly fat that's remaining that you want to get rid of, you're likely already quite far in to your cutting phase, which means that because you've been restricting the amount of calories you've been eating, over time, your body has continued to adapt to that lower and lower calorie intake, meaning that your maintenance calories drops. So by the time you get to the part where it's your belly fat that's really going to come off, your maintenance calories are already quite low, which makes it even harder to maintain a calorie deficit. And as I said earlier, by that time in your cutting phase, your maintenance calories might only be 2,000 calories or even lower. So to maintain a calorie deficit on that level of calorie expenditure, you'd have to be eating in that kind of 1,500 to 1,800 calorie mark, which is just severely restrictive and obviously hard to maintain. Whereas the alternative of maintaining a high energy flux through having high calorie expenditure, it means you don't really have to worry about the food that you're eating because you're going to be in a deficit anyway because your calorie expenditure is so high. Also, if you take the approach of increasing your calorie expenditure as opposed to lowering your calorie intake. Because you can kind of eat whatever you want, of course within reason, your body doesn't begin to adapt to the lower amount of calories that you're feeding it. So you can still eat, say, 2,500 to 2,800 calories if you're expending 3,000 calories every day. And because you're able to eat 2,500 calories every day, your body doesn't begin to decrease its maintenance calories because you're eating the same way as you always used to. And that makes it so much easier to be in a calorie deficit when your maintenance calories is already at quite a high level. You don't have to go through that same difficulty of severely restricting your calories. I also find that the high energy flux approach is a lot easier mentally because you're not neurotically thinking about how many calories and how many grams of carb or fat are in a certain piece of food. You're not constantly whipping out MyFitnessPal to scan barcodes to make sure that certain foods you can actually eat. And if you take the high energy flux approach, you kind of don't have to worry about all that stuff because you can pretty freely decide what you want to eat because you've just got that high level of baseline calorie expenditure. And that also just makes the process a lot easier. And of course, when it's easier, you're more likely to achieve your goal of losing belly fat. So the next question after that is then, well, how do I achieve a high energy flux? The simple answer is that you just need to move more. It doesn't have to be anything crazy either. You can just go for a 30 to 45-minute walk. I also love incline walking on the treadmill. If you set it to an incline of 10 and a speed of 5 and do that for 30 to 45 minutes, you can burn 200, 300, 400 calories depending on the person. And that's huge from a cutting perspective. Incline walking and walking generally is also a very easy thing to do. You can just hop on the treadmill, you can get your phone out, you can watch YouTube or something, you can watch my videos while you're doing it. It's not like running, which can be really hard for a lot of people, including myself. But you also don't need dedicated sessions like going to the gym specifically to incline walk to increase your calorie expenditure every day. You can also fit in things into your daily life that result in you burning more calories. And these are simple things like just having a water bottle on your desk. And when you're drinking it throughout the day, you're going to finish it at some point and then you're going to have to get up and fill up your water bottle again. And that might be another 50 steps that you get in. That can be like 500 to 1,000 extra steps you get in that day. And also because you're drinking so much more water, you got to go to the toilet more. That's also adding to your daily step count. Whenever you need to go somewhere, you can walk there instead of drive there. Whenever you go to the gym, you can take the car park that's furthest away from the gym. So you're forcing yourself to walk. And that again just adds to your daily step count. If you're going to school, you can join in with the kids that are playing soccer or whatever sport it is and burn more calories that way. If you're at work, at an office job, on your lunch break, go take a walk outside. All these things aren't really dedicated exercise sessions in your mind. There's things that you're just doing on a day-to-day basis. And it's an easy way to just increase your general level of calorie expenditure to achieve that high energy flux, making it infinitely easier to lose belly fat. Alternatively, you can do dedicated cardio sessions if that's what you prefer. I really enjoy running, so that's something that I've been getting into more recently. And my calorie expenditure is just now through the roof, and it makes it so easy to lose belly fat and stay lean. I honestly don't track my calories. I eat whatever I want, of course within reason, but I'm never kind of limiting myself on what I'm eating out of fear that it's going to be too many calories. And if you are going to do dedicated cardio sessions alongside your gym and resistance training, I would recommend that you split the two sessions up. Gym in the morning, cardio in the evening. You want to do your gym sessions first if that's your priority. The running should always just be for the sake of calorie burn, although you might really enjoy running and make it your priority. So hopefully that's been of some value and can help you lose belly fat. If you enjoyed or learned anything, please consider subscribing because we're getting to 5K subs soon, and I'll see you in the next one.